Welcome back to the Ref Show with Keith Hackett and with Glenn Turner. It was Glenn who unearthed the alarming statistic that on average there's a key match error every 4 games in the Premier League, or has been during the course of this season, 84 in total. We'll get Keith Hackett's view on what would be an acceptable figure in his view, and looking back to his reign as PGMOL General Manager. But 1 in 4 games, Glenn, when you started compiling these figures, did you expect that kind of?
No, to be fair, I'm not sure what I expected, but when I put together that table a week or so ago, I'm sure I didn't expect that. That is way, way higher than I ever believed it would be. Yeah. Because, you know, I've sat in conference after conference after conference, don't forget, particularly in more recent times, listening to Mark Riley tell us how well everybody's doing and how few KMIs we're getting now.
Right, so Keith, what is the kind of figure? Because there are always going to be errors. That's going to happen, isn't it?
Well, I can tell you the board in my time were very unhappy when we were running at around 1 in every 10 games.
So this is 1 round of fixtures you'd expect to get
one major key incident wrong, and our aim was to get, you know, through a program without any key match incidents. And it was tough, and in fairness, looking back, there were certain referees that contributed on a regular basis to producing a key match error, and as a consequence of that, I took them off the list. You know, that's how tough it was.
It would be hard to do that with this group, looking at the figures for individual referees, but one extreme to the other.
If working on 1 in 10, you're looking at the very best at the moment, Anthony Taylor, for that kind of ratio. I mean, you look to the bottom of the list, John Moss, who was averaging just over every 1.5 games.
13 across the season, I think.
Yeah. I mean, whilst we're talking about John, I would just like to reassure John that the statistics I'm putting together are statistics. There is absolutely nothing personal in it, John, so thanks for the comments that you've sent back. But I assure you that my comments are not personal. They're based upon statistical analysis, that's all.
As they are for Anthony Taylor, of course, who comes out very well, and so do certain other referees, obviously Mike Dean, Mark Clattenburg, Kevin Friend.
From the very top to the very bottom, everyone in between too. It's based purely upon statistical analysis.
Right. I think it's quite shocking. You know, we've been critical of I have been personally critical of the PGMOL, believing that there was a decline in standards through what I'm seeing on television. When we look at these statistics, even I was shocked. I have to tell you, I thought, I knew by what I was seeing that certain referees were regularly contributing to making these errors. My call is that out of all the statistics, someone's got to really get to grips and say, well, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to resolve these issues? There's a weakness in the system through a lack of coaching. Clearly there's no coaches of the quality that can deliver, or they're not being allowed. I've always thought, for example, Alan Wiley, who was a good referee, says it as it is. Okay, he didn't have international experience, but one who could coach. Now I think he's been used at a lower level than actually at the level that these guys need it. We know that Michael Oliver needs coaching. We know that if someone got behind him, discussed the problems that he's experienced one-to-one after the game and during the week, we can overcome these problems. But it seems to me at the moment, there's a cascade and it's a whirlpool that's going round and round and round. And there seems to be no one actually saying, look, let's stop, let's analyse what we need to do. Now, look, they operate in Europe. You know, the guys who are running this organisation, the PGMOL, they go out in Europe watching referees. They should bring those skill sets back, and really, Kalina is the model that they should be looking at. You know, we saw the photographs of Kalina with Clattenburg and the European referees, our referees.
Yes.
And you suddenly say, well, hold on, he's close to them, he's chatting. I know for one that he's personally supported Clattenburg over the years through difficult times. And as a result of that, Mark, I think, rides above it all. He doesn't get involved in all the things that's going off. But neither is the PGMOL using his skill sets. we know that he is the best mover on the field of play. So Craig, you act for a number of weeks as fourth official, watch Clattenburg, in the same way that we're saying Oliver, work with Mike Dean and pick up their skill sets.
Because it's a concern for the game as a whole, not just the refereeing authorities. It's a concern for the clubs, for the leagues, etc. That it's
well, there's a huge amount of money going to be put into refereeing next season. Yeah. Look, they've announced the list of names who are going to be in that panel of second-tier professional referees. I hope those referees realise that this isn't like a freebie. Somebody's got to say, look, you're a professional referee, like a professional footballer, you have to put the ball in the back of the net. And what they've got to do is deliver much better performances. And I worry about the second tier. I'm a big supporter of its introduction. But where are the coaches that's going to manage the process of improving their standards?
There does seem a big diversity in the Premier League group, from the very good handful to the moderate, and also some alarmingly poor performances at the bottom. There's a big gap there, isn't there?
The spread is far too wide. And I know it's easy to sit next to Keith and advocate things that he did in the past because he's sitting next to me. That is genuinely not why I'm doing it. I worked under Keith and I saw in practice exactly what he's saying should be done now happen. I worked a lot with the #1 referee at the time, Graham Paul, a lot. And the number of times that Keith sent a young Mark Clattenburg as fourth official. Now where's Mark Clattenburg? Our #1 referee. Yeah. And then when I worked, when Graham moved on and I worked with Alan Wiley, top referee. Keith said unfortunately didn't get a chance abroad, but top domestic referee.
That's like a mentoring.
The next generation. And
a
that's
mentoring
how it works.
system. Yeah,
there's no better place to learn than at pitch side.
Okay, well make of the stats what you will, but certainly they did shock our professionals on your other website. Just completing the Premier League roundup very briefly. Everton 2, Bournemouth 1. I think there was a push missed in the... This was Neil Sporbrick. There was a push missed in the build-up to a goal.
Unfortunate for the assistant, fairly fresh into that kind of arena, Daniel Cook. And, let's hope that's not the last we see of him. He should not be overly punished for one mistake because Daniel, I hope you're watching and listening, you'll show us how good you are the next time you go out, having made a big error.
Tell you what, Roger East has caught my eye recently. He's completely evaded controversy. I presume that's because he's refereeing well. He handled Swansea's excellent win over Liverpool.
Terrific. I read Mark Ells's RefCam report, and Mark, who can be critical at times, was full of praise, and I think that's a great credit to Roger East. Well done, Roger.
Craig Pawson is a referee that you're always earmarking for the future. It shows some potential, that word again. But does occur here, mention him for little incidents. Well, not so little maybe. Stoke-Sunderland, 1-1. The Arnautovic goal for Stoke. You've got Peter Crouch climbing all over a defender then.
I don't know how he missed that one. If I look at the referees in the past, and I look at the top referees in Europe, they get through games because they show courage. And they get the big decisions right. And I think all too often we're being critical here on this show. And I receive lots of mail from fans who are not always having a go, but say the same thing. Look, why are they getting the big decisions wrong? I don't know if it is a lack of courage. I hope it isn't, because they've come through quite a number of fences in terms of getting to this top level. Craig, I thought this weekend, I saw a slight improvement in his movement, little bit more sprinting, a lot of failing to penetrate. They're stopping short of the penalty area. They need to penetrate into the area a bit, and I think they might capture these incidents. But the handball, like the defender who jumps up, he's got his arm way in the air, and what's he doing that for?
Yes, indeed.
And he handles the ball and gets away with it.
Up there, isn't
it? I reckon most of the supporters in the ground probably thought, well, why has he got away with it?
What I really, really don't want to be doing is sitting here in 3 or 4 years' time talking about Craig Pawson in the same light that unfortunately we've just spoken about Lee Mason. Yeah. Tremendous potential. Didn't actually fulfil it because it'd be such a shame for Craig, as it has been for Lee. Lee's had a good career. He could have had an even better one.
Indeed. Right.
With more consistency.
And finally, despite, even it didn't require your attempts to smuggle a Sheffield Wednesday supporter on the line at Hillsborough to get the Owls into the playoffs, Keith. You tried your best there with a Wednesday fan running the line, but it was spotted.
Yes, it was. I mean, I don't know who does the appointments, but like, and young Bell is really got potential. So he's a guy coming through. But
it was a software error, apparently. Anyway, thank you, guys. We can still smile. It is only a game at the end of the day. Thank you for all your emails and comments. Thanks to Glenn. Thanks to Keith. And see you next week. Bye.